Have you ever felt as if you know what you want to write, yet you can't translate those ideas onto a piece of paper in a cohesive manner? I asked the same question from different group of people, including some of you on Instagram and Mentimeter, and here's what you had to say. Now, as you can see, a majority of the people have felt this at some point in their life. But don't you worry, because today I'm going to introduce a special sauce that is going to make your writing crisp and meaningful. Ladies and gentlemen, everything great contains some secret element that enhances perfection. Just as some politicians use some secret techniques to gain votes, writing too contains some secret elements in it that enhance productivity and reader experience. And mind you, cheating isn't one of them. And to find those elements is what ultimately led me to the MOOC, the secret sauce of great writing. Now you might be wondering, what is this top secret sauce that I've been continuously talking about? Well, luckily, it's finally time to reveal. Ladies and gentlemen, today's intellectual sauce is actually composed of four component ingredients that are going to make you stand out as an accomplished writer. And these ingredients are simplicity, clarity, elegance, and evocativeness. First of all, let's talk about simplicity. All our lives, we have been reading dreary and painfully dragged textbooks that results in most of us using a needlessly flowery language. Don't get me wrong, having a good vocabulary is a great thing, but using too many fancy and complicated words doesn't make you sound intellectual. Rather, it just makes you sound pretentious. Now, simplicity makes your writing sophisticated by making you write complex ideas with the help of simple, easy to understand words. And in order to achieve this, you should use the following tactics. Number one, using a familiar language. Always try to use familiar, not too fancy, and not too complicated words while you write. And number two, decluttering long sentences. And this is really important because when you cut away unnecessary words from your sentences, you actually start to give them more power. And ladies and gentlemen, you should all master the art of uncomplicating ideas. Always try to think of things in the simplest possible way and then work your way up. Because even if you end up making it extremely simple, you can always make it a tad bit complex afterwards. And this brings me to the second ingredient of our great sauce, that is clarity. Did you know it's seldom the reader's fault for not understanding something? Rather, it's mostly the writer's fault for not expressing things clearly enough. Now, let me explain clarity with the help of a story. Imagine you're walking your dog at the park and suddenly you come across the sign. If your dog does a poo, please put it in the litter bin. Now, what are you supposed to put in the litter bin? The dog or its business? Now, what if the same sentence had been written like this? If your dog does a poo, please put the poo in the litter bin. Do you notice how much of a difference clarity makes in your writing? And thus, in order to introduce clarity in your writing, you should number one, prevent ambiguities like the one I just pointed out. Number two, avoid using jargon, especially if the audience reading is from a different field than yours. Dear engineers, do not use words like STEM and RPM in front of non technical people because this is going to absolutely murder the clarity in your writing. Now, obviously, murder is an overstatement, but you do get the sentiment right. And the third point is use punctuation carefully. Now let's read these two sentences. Can you run over, my friend? And can you run over, my friend? Do you notice how much of a difference punctuation actually makes in the meaning of a sentence? And this brings me to the third element of our sauce, that is elegance. Now, elegance makes your writings flow well. It introduces rhythm in your writing. And in order to achieve this, you should use the following rules. Rule number one, read out your sentences. You should always try to read your sentences with rhythm and notice how underdone or overdone they are. And then, accordingly, make them long or split them into two. This is going to make your writing elegant. Rule number two, follow a path. Instead of blindly stating relevant points one after the other, try to arrange them in a well defined manner so that they hang together beautifully. And rule number three, create a flow between different parts of the prose. This is what is going to make your writing elegant. And this brings me to the fourth and final ingredient of our secret sauce, that is evocativeness. Now, evocativeness makes your writing stimulating, and this combined with simplicity, clarity, and elegance is going to make your writing absolutely shine. And in order to incorporate evocativeness into your writing, you should use stimulating words, but do not overdo this. You should always try to achieve a balance between stimulating words and normal words because this is what is going to add color to your writing. And number two, use active sentences. And let me illustrate this with the help of an example. I want you all to read the first sentence. Is this an active sentence? No. Now read this one. Is this an active sentence? Correct. Now let's read them together. The flag was unfurled by the mayor. The mayor unfurled the flag. Do you notice how quickly the picture forms in your reader's mind when you say things the active way? And ladies and gentlemen, this marks the end of our fourth ingredient and ultimately our secret sauce. I'm sure you're now able to use this sauce to conquer your writing dreams. The slide that you see in front of you is actually taken from a survey and it shows three problems faced by writers. And as you can see, the major challenge faced by writers is finding the time. But don't you worry, because this 4.5-star rating move can actually be completed in almost an hour. So it's concise, it's time saving, and yet it contains a tsunami of useful information and guidance. And as you know, writers are already short on time. What a splendid way to save time as well as learn important stuff, right? Now, I want you all to ask yourself, have you ever hesitated to write something despite having the knowledge? Do you feel insecure about the way you write? Does the fear of poor writing stop you from pursuing content writing? Or do you want to achieve an immaculate standard of writing? And if the answer to any one of these questions is a yes, I want you all to enroll now because this is a free MOOC. And even though legendary stuff is found in the Elder Scrolls, this MOOC is available online. And do you know what, my fellow engineers? This MOOC can absolutely rev up your writing engines to their full potential.